The rumble of engines shook the quiet evening as the notorious biker crew rolled into the dusty diner on the edge of town. They were loud, leather-clad, and intimidating, the kind of men people avoided locking eyes with. At the front of the pack was their leader, a man with a reputation that sent shivers down spines and respect through the wind. A man known simply as Rain. He carried a weight in his eyes, the kind that came from fighting battles most men wouldn't survive. The diner fell silent when the door swung open, the soft jingle of the bell a poor match against the growl of their presence. Rain walked in first, tall and broad, with an expression carved from stone. His crew followed, their boots thudding like war drums. Locals pretended to sip coffee, not daring to glance up. The waitress on shift that night was a young woman with tired eyes and a forced smile, the kind that cracked easily. She carried a tray with shaky hands but held her head up as if daring the world to knock her down. Rain noticed the way she flinched when someone brushed too close, the way she tucked a strand of hair to cover the faint purple mark on her cheek. His sharp gaze caught the faint outline of bruises creeping from under her sleeves. He'd seen bruises like that before, not the kind you get from bumping into tables, but the kind you get from someone who thinks they own you. He didn't say a word at first. He ordered a black coffee, but his mind wasn't on it. As she returned with the drinks, her hand trembled, causing the cup to rattle against the saucer. Rain's big hand shot out, steadying hers with a gentleness that surprised her. Their eyes met for just a second, but it was long enough for him to see it, fear. Not of him, but of something else. Someone else. He'd seen fear like that in the mirror once, years ago, before he built his kingdom of asphalt and iron. As the crew laughed and swapped stories, Rain watched the girl like a hawk. When she turned around, he caught sight of a bruise on the back of her neck, shaped like fingers. Rage simmered low in his chest. He didn't believe in playing hero. He wasn't a saint. But there were lines even a man like him wouldn't let someone cross. Not in his town. Not on his watch. When her shift ended, Rain stayed behind while his crew roared off into the night. He leaned on his bike, cigarette glowing in the darkness, waiting. She walked out of the diner, her jacket pulled tight, her steps quick like someone running from a storm. A shadow appeared behind her, a man with a baseball cap and a mean posture. He grabbed her arm roughly, yanking her back. And Rain heard her muffled protest. That was all it took. The cigarette hit the ground. Rain moved like a storm unleashed. His boots crunched gravel as he crossed the distance. And before the men could react, Rain's hand clamped on his wrist, twisting it with a precision that came from years of fights no one talked about. She said no, Rain growled, his voice low, dangerous. The men spat, mind your business. Rain's grip tightened. She is my business now. The men struggled, but it was useless. Rain didn't fight for show. He fought to end things. He shoved the guy against the brick wall with the ease of a predator cornering prey. You like leaving marks on her? Rain hissed, his face inches from the man's. How about I leave some on you? The man's bravado faltered under the weight of those cold, unblinking eyes. A punch landed hard, knocking the cap off, followed by another that cracked the silence of the night. The waitress gasped, covering her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes. She had never seen someone stand up for her like this. Rain leaned close to the man's ear and whispered something no one else heard. A promise that made the man's face drain of color. Then he released him, letting him crumple to the ground like the worthless coward he was. If you touch her again, Rain said, voice like steel wrapped in fire, you'll pray you don't wake up. The men scrambled away, fear now tattooed on his soul. The girl stood frozen, unsure whether to thank him or run from him. Rain turned to her, his hard expression softening just slightly. You all right? She nodded shakily, still hugging herself like the world could break her any second. He didn't press for details. He didn't need to. He just said, get on. She blinked, confused. What? The bike, he said. Get on. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a command either. It was a promise of something she hadn't felt in a long time: safety. She hesitated for a heartbeat before stepping toward the massive black machine. The engine roared to life, the night wind whipping around them as they rode off. For the first time in years, she didn't feel trapped. She felt free. Rain brought her to the biker compound, a place most feared. But tonight it was her sanctuary. His crew glanced up, surprised to see their leader with someone like her. Rain got off the bike, helped her down like she was made of glass, and shot them a look that said no one was to mess with her. "You're safe here," he muttered. She didn't know why she believed him, but she did. Over the next days, whispers spread through town like wildfire. The girl with bruises was staying with the biker gang. People expected the worst, until the truth emerged. Rain wasn't hiding her. He was protecting her. He tracked down every person who had ignored her cries for help. Every place where she had begged for protection and been turned away. And then he did what no one expected: he exposed the men who had hurt her. He wasn't just some lowlife. He was the town sheriff's nephew. The town that once feared. Rain was now watching him do what their so-called protectors wouldn't: bring justice. When the sheriff tried to cover it up, Rain and his crew showed up at the courthouse. Engines growled outside as a wall of leather and steel stood behind her. Rain didn't say a word in the courtroom. He didn't have to. His presence was louder than any argument. The truth came out. The town watched as the abuser was dragged away. Not protected anymore by his last name. And the waitress. She stood taller that day, the bruises fading from her skin but not her memory. She looked at Rain, the man everyone feared, and saw not a monster, but a shield. The diner that was once a place of pain became her own. With the settlement, she bought it, rebuilt it, and turned it into a safe haven for others who'd been ignored. Rain never asked for thanks. But every night when his crew rode past, she left the light on in the window. A silent nod between two souls who knew the darkness and chose to fight it. And as the sun set over the highway, the legend of the biker who stood up for the broken spread beyond their little town. Some called him dangerous. Some called him a hero. But for one woman, he was simply the man who showed up when no one else did. Weeks later, the bruises were fading. But the fear wasn't. The town whispered about the biker leader who stood against power. One night, she found Rain fixing his bike alone. "Why help me?" she asked. He looked up, calm and firm. "Because no one else did." In that quiet moment, her heart finally felt safe. As the engine roared, she knew her life had changed forever. He wasn't just her savior, he was her second chance.